Roblox has already paid over $1 billion to developers this year. It's the biggest record in the entire history of the platform, and more than 400 million were paid in just a single quarter. The same one where the trinity of the year's most popular games on the platform was breaking record after record, not just in players, but also in profit. And these three games had a huge role in the 70% increase in Roblox bookings in just one quarter. But how much exactly did they make? It has never been this profitable to be a developer on Roblox. And contrary to what a lot of people might think, microtransactions are not the only way for a game to generate income. There are other monetization models inside your game, and the numbers I'm about to show you will surely blow your mind. But before I tell you how much money the big boys at the top of the platform make, and let me tell you, it's a lot. First, I have to show you some of the ways a game can generate money inside Roblox. To start with, we had one of the most significant changes among the monetization methods, which was changed this year and which, according to Roblox, was responsible for a 73% increase in creators' revenue when compared to the previous program. For quite a long time, Roblox used a program that rewarded game developers with a bonus whose basic metric was the session time that a player who had a premium subscription on Roblox spent inside the game. The program was called EPB, Engagement Based Payout. Here's how it worked. The more time a player with a premium subscription spent inside your game, the larger your slice of that reward cake was. And that slice didn't have a fixed value. It was very variable and uncertain. The source of the money that was distributed in these bonuses came from the revenue of the premium subscriptions themselves, and a small portion of the revenue was specifically allocated to reward developers who kept users on the platform for longer through this bonus. And the system worked like a competition, because the developer who managed to keep a premium player inside their game for longer would get a higher percentage of that reward, while those who kept premium players for less time obviously received a smaller percentage. The problem was, this system was far from making everyone happy. First, because there wasn't a lot of transparency from the Roblox platform regarding the actual size of the total reward pool that was being distributed among the devs. They only saw estimates. The other negative point was that only players with a premium subscription generated rewards for this bonus. On the other hand, regular players, who are the majority on the platform, didn't count. But the biggest problem with the system, without a doubt, was that it gave kind of a wrong incentive for experiences in general and only favored one side, while the other side ended up being treated unfairly and, in a way, even punished. Since the goal to earn this bonus was to keep the premium player inside your game for as long as possible, because the more time, the bigger your percentage. Games that generally had a more addictive genre, like tycoons or simulation games, or those that abuse the FOMO strategy, which stands for fear of missing out, the strategy of the high demand and low supply, or limited supply. The famous shortage of items or products that can easily run out if you're not fast enough and ready to seize that big opportunity to claim that reward. That creates in the player's head the trigger of needing to always stay inside the game so they don't miss these limited and unmissable opportunities. And that, whether you like it or not, ended up making this type of games completely monopolize this playtime based reward system, because shorter games, or the kind of game that you wouldn't spend hours playing and that didn't give you any benefit for staying AFK farming something, like is common in tycoon games, or that simply just didn't want to use FOMO as a strategy, ended up having no way to compete with the games from the previous example, especially because the system heavily incentivized even the abuse of AFK, where you could just simply give a reward to the player for staying in your game, even while AFK. Just like those tycoons do with the mechanic where you generate more money or resources if you are online than you generate when you are offline, for example. A lot of people still have no idea, but this strategy is precisely to keep you inside the game for as long as possible, even if it's AFK, because this massively increases the average playtime of the game and consequently retention, and that makes the game get in the good graces of the front page and climb up in the recommendation rankings. In short, this reward system was basically monopolized by these games, while smaller, more casual, shorter games, or that didn't use any of these retention strategies, were left empty-handed, because they didn't even stand a chance of competing for this bonus. So Roblox, a long time later, ended up making this system obsolete and got rid of it, introducing a new program that aimed to be more transparent with developers in terms of numbers and requirements, and also, especially, to be a more fair and proportional system than what was used before for all creators, regardless of their games genres and retention strategies. On July 24, 2025, the engagement-based payout system was replaced by a new system that remains to this day called Creator Rewards, and this one has two main and transparent bonuses that rewards creators who retain players who already spend in the Roblox ecosystem, and also those who bring new players to the platform or make those who left come back. The first bonus, called Daily Engagement Reward, pays 5 Robux per day for each active spender player who stays at least 10 minutes inside your game. Active spender players are users who have spent at least $10 on the Roblox platform in the last 60 days. These don't have to be 10 consecutive minutes. The person can play several times throughout the day until they hit the 10 minutes, and spending more time than that doesn't give you any additional Robux. Alright? The only catch is that these 5 Robux generated by the player only go to the first 3 games they open that day. If they play 4 games in a day, for example, the 4th game won't get those 5 Robux. Otherwise, the people that play like 20 games a day would bankrupt Roblox with this bonus. And the second bonus is called Audience Expansion Reward. It rewards the game that brings new players to the platform or makes players who have been inactive for more than 60 days return to the platform. For it to work, the user needs to enter your game through your invite link or search for it directly by name, and they will also need to play those same minimum 10 minutes to be validated, which basically links that person to you. And from that point on, any purchase they make on the platform in the next 8 weeks will give you a 35% commission. The only problem is that there's a spending cap for this purchase, $100. So even if the person spends, I don't know, $200, you are only going to earn that 35% on top of $100 anyway, because that's the maximum limit per player. Another form of monetization is through immersive ads, which let you place native ads inside your game through billboards, portals, and also benefit from rewarded videos. You can choose where your billboard is going to be inside the game, both in video format and static image, and they will generate money for you based on their performance and views they get. There's also the good old reward video, the ad you watch by your own choice just to earn a reward inside the game, like a revive or a certain amount of in-game currency or anything else. And in the case of the portals that take you to other experiences, the ones paying for them are the creators themselves to promote their games, and you receive your share of revenue every time a player successfully uses the portal in your game and goes to another experience. But you are not the one who chooses that sponsored experience. Roblox itself is the one that will make custom recommendations for each player individually using the platform's algorithm, just like you are also not the one who chooses the billboard and reward video ads. You basically just rent out the space and Roblox itself decides what is going to advertise there. And each player can see something different, even if several players are looking at the same billboard at the same time, because it's a custom recommendation showing something Roblox thinks that specific player is going to be interested in based on their behavior and preferences on the platform. Just like what YouTube did by recommending this video to you. For example, they thought that you specifically would like it and you are enjoying it. At least is what I hope. And since you clicked on this video and are liking this cinema editing and wanting to see more content with this high quality, why haven't you liked the video and subscribed to the channel yet? That will really motivate me to keep bringing more interesting content with this same high quality. Thanks. Now back to the drama. What you really wanna know is, but how much do these immersive ads actually pay the creator? And the truth is, this monetization model suffers from the same transparency problem that the old engagement-based payout did. There are no official fixed numbers from the platform for immersive ads like there are for the new creator rewards. And the numbers can also change a lot depending on the type of the ad and also on the country where it's being watched. But I went and did my research and found some reports on the Roblox developer forum talking about the system, and the results did not seem very profitable at all. There was a dev who showed that they only made 70 Robux per 1,000 impressions with the sponsored billboards. So yeah, it's very likely you are not going to be able to make a fortune and buy the car of your dreams through the revenue from immersive ads. But lucky for you, that's not the end of the world, because the most profitable monetization model on Roblox and in games in in general, is what's going to be responsible for giving you those two things and much more. Microtransactions. Most people don't like them, but there's nothing we can do about it. Microtransactions are what feeds big corporations like Roblox. There's even a recent report from this year about the revenue that PC games generated last year, and it showed that microtransactions were the monetization model responsible for 58% of total game revenue. $24 billion out of 37 were generated by microtransactions. That's insane. And 3 top games were largely responsible for pushing that number up: Black Ops 6, Fortnite, and guess who? Roblox itself. But that was expected. Roblox is a platform with thousands of games, and all of them are going to sell something to players. Game passes and developer products are what generate the highest financial return among Roblox monetization methods, because through them you can provide everything to the player: advantage, conveniences, or any kind of thing that adds value to the player's experience and pushes them to go after that advantage, whether that's a VIP and double cash from game passes or consumable and time-limited items from developer products. The reason most people don't like microtransactions is exactly because they will turn the game into pay to win. It's inevitable. They are made specifically to give an advantage to the player who pays, and the player will only pay if they get something good in return that makes it worth paying for. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth it. And in the deal between the paying player and the game, the only one who loses is you, the one who doesn't take advantage of these microtransactions. Obviously, there isn't a fixed earnings amount, because the ones who sets the prices are the developers themselves, but the minimum price for game passes and developer products is 25 Robux, and the sky is the limit. But don't go around scamming your players with absurd prices, alright? Use monetization with moderation. But the real question, and the one you've been the most anxious to know ever since you saw this amazing thumbnail, just look at it, is how much money is generated by the big boys at the top of the platform's pyramid, with their millions of daily players and billions of monthly visits. According to Jacob Navak, or Navak, I don't know, a CEO and entrepreneur in the games industry and also a business director at Square Enix, he speculates that Still a Brainrot generated over 50 million in revenue in its first month, and Grow a Garden followed the same path, generating over 100 million in its first 2 months. Ignore the fact that he miserably messed up the CCU numbers of both games. Chill, guy's a CEO. But to back up the completely insane numbers in this estimate, in case you are a bit skeptical about this information, just like I was, because let's be honest, we all know these games make tons of money, but talking about tens or even hundreds of millions in Roblox games is kinda hard to believe. And that's why I went after Roblox's official financial reports, and they show that in the third quarter of this year, July, August, and September, Roblox reported having reached 1.3 billion in revenue, which is 48% more than what they reported last year during the same period, and bookings had an even more significant increase of 70%, resulting in a total of $1.9 billion in a single quarter. And now comes the insane part. Roblox also confirmed that it has already paid over $1 billion to creators during this year, which is the record, by the way, surpassing last year's 900 million milestone. And just the payout for this specific third quarter totaled $428 million, which is simply 85% more than what was paid in the same third quarter last year. And guess what this year's third quarter had that last year's didn't? To justify that 85% increase, which resulted in $200 million more in payouts, besides the new creator reward. Exactly, the 3 most popular games of the year on the platform, more popular than any game in the world also. Record breakers that brought absurd players numbers to the platform. Just imagine how much money was generated on the days when Grow a Garden and Still a Brainrot put over 20 million concurrent players inside their games, stuffed with microtransactions, 20 million potential customers. And Nick Torno, one of Roblox's leaders in the engines division, also once showed that the revenue generated among the top 10 developers reached an average of $38 million over the last 12 months, which is more than double compared to the numbers from 2020, for example. And before you say, what, only 38? You said it was in the 100 million range. Remember, this is the average of the top 10 together. So the average from the games at the bottom of this top 10 obviously drags the numbers of the games on the podium down. Just the difference in players between the top 1 and the top 10 is already absurd, 10 times more at least. So if you narrow it down to only the top 3, obviously the average is going to skyrocket. And if you were impressed by all these numbers, whether you think the real value is way higher or way lower than this, I still have to remind you that the Roblox ecosystem and logistics are what keeps the biggest share of the revenue generated by the games, and not the games themselves. So the $428 million paid out in the third quarter to creators was only their final cut, but the games themselves surely generated much more than that. But the rest went to Daddy Roblox. With that said, tell me what you think and subscribe. Your favorite creator, be out.